Hello, everyone. We are here for yet another Modern League with black-white tokens. Um, Getting ready for GP Los Angeles, or whatever they're called, MagicFest, I think, something like that. Here in just about a month. It's the first weekend of March, and it's modern, so very excited to have a modern GP near me that I can go to. There was one up in Northern California I was not able to go to, but we're here now, um, going back yet again to History of Benalia. People had asked you about it. I was still pretty high on it. I was just wanting to test out some other things, knowing that the majority of my testing was going to be with this card. So we're back with it and keeping it in. Obviously, Lingering Souls, Tangible Virtue, Bitter Blossom. Have been liking Zealous main deck for a lot of creature decks, spirits decks, humans. And I do like it with histories a lot because it makes it a little bit easier to push through the ground creatures, given that they're ground creatures and not flyers like usual. Going the one Gideon, two Sorens. I was really high on three Sorens for a while. Just thought the life gain was really relevant, and it is, but I think less so now that some of the creature decks are a little more kind of combo heavy, disruptive heavy, humans and spirits and whatnot. If there was a lot of zoo going around, that'd be very different, but there's not, and it's not even that great against burn. It's just a little bit too slow, and it's a lot of times they'll have the skull crack for it, which makes that tedious. So kind of cut it down to obviously the third planeswalker being the Gideon, which has been great, and then adding a spectral procession. Obviously, just a super strong card in this deck that it's been nice to go back to. Keeping in two Lilianas, she's been really good. I do like her. She does things that no other card can do, and puts you into games that maybe you would have not been in with another card or another normal draw, or another fatal push or another spectral procession, whatever. So she does help a lot, works well in this deck. I like it a lot in this deck, and when it's not good, just side it out for any of this stuff that's good. So I think it's a great card. It could be a sideboard card, but I think you want your sideboard cards to be more of these heavy hitters. So I think she's fine in the main deck. Two Brutalities is kind of what I've been doing for a while. I've no reason to change. Every time I'm thinking I'm gonna cut one or put one in the sideboard, I end up winning random games due to it, due to any of the modes, really. Just the versatility of being able to do either just deal last 2 points of damage, or kill one last blocker, or serve as a duress that, all at the same time. That it seems it's just a great versatile card. This has been pretty standard for me for a while. 3-3, 2-4. As far as this split, I don't think we need to talk about it too much. Seems pretty straightforward to me. Lands, what I did do, I've been going 3 courtyard, 3 vents. I went up to 3 of each basic. There's just a lot of Field of Ruins going on, and Blood Moon's been fairly popular, and mostly I want to have plenty of pain-free lands to get out of my deck. Obviously with Spectral, we still kind of want triple white, but for the most part we just need, obviously it's kind of tough on double white, double black. It is taxing on the mana base, but really you just need, any one dual land and then one of each basic, and you're ready to rock. You've got 3 lands and 2 of each, so it's kind of what I shoot for. To make room for that, obviously I trimmed a courtyard, and I took out Vault of the Archangel, just so I could keep 2 fields and 2 ghost quarters. So 4 of that effect total. Not sure still on the split I want between these, but kind of going for 2 and 2 for now. until you can see otherwise. And the vault, as good as the vault is, it's always been, I always find myself activating it less, and having a 5th colorless source in a deck that needs its colored sources up here was been getting kind of difficult. So I've been liking that for now. Because we cut the vault, obviously, keeping in the my trusty Basilisk collar for a sideboard. Obviously, it's one of the flex spots in this deck. These are all pretty standard here. 2 Wrath Damnation effects is the norm, although with the Zealous Persecution, it's possible we could go down to 1, or maybe just keep 2 in the sideboard and cut this all together. But that's been pretty standard. 3 surgical effects. I like the 1 extra paid as just a way to, the split second can be pretty relevant here. With that, I'm only going 1 Rest in Peace. I've been doing that for a long time. I was debating going even less than that and going no Rest in Peace, given what we're doing here. We'll get to that in a second. But I decided to keep it in just because it's so good against Dredge and Phoenix, and those are, increasingly popular decks right now. Obviously Phoenix especially, that I think it's necessary. But I could see a world where I don't run any Rest in Peace and lean on Surgicals, Extirpates, and Kaya as Graveyard Hate. And that way I don't hit my own Lingering Souls. But without start to finish, not that it's a big deal. Obviously we're only running 1 or 2 start to finishes, but I think it's okay to run Rest in Peace and just try to avoid hitting Lingering Souls, because when you're bringing it in, against the matchups you're bringing it in, you don't care about the other half of Lingering Souls. It's hurting them so much more that it's kind of worth it. So what we're doing here, we're trying out Kaya Orzhov Usurper, the new Planeswalker that a lot of us were highly, highly disappointed in. We're so excited to finally see a new black-white Planeswalker, and to see that she costs 3 mana was super exciting. And then we get this pile of garbage. It's such a weird card. We don't really know what she's supposed to be doing here. However, while she seems terrible in standard, not even good in limited, she does have some niche sideboard utility in older formats, modern included. I could see her being potentially played in kind of eternal formats, but that's not my area of expertise. Modern is, though, and here she does have some utility against certain sideboard against certain decks, and decks that we do have trouble with. So I figured, I got one in a sealed pool I was doing online. I didn't really want to pay money for her, but I have it. We're testing things out. Figured I'd throw her in the deck and see how she does. Exiling cards from the graveyard is very relevant. You get 2. She goes up to 5, so even something like Dredge, like if you can keep her alive and just start draining their graveyard, it's doing a lot of work. Especially against Dredge, you're trying to hit their creatures anyway, and you want to be gaining life anyway because they are an aggressive deck. So she's doing both of those things that you're trying to do. Obviously, if you just had a Surgical Extraction or a Rest in Peace, you'd probably be in better shape, but not necessarily. Definitely Rest in Peace you would, but it might be easier for them to deal with a Rest in Peace depending on what they board in than the Planeswalker here. Or it could be a lot easier for them to deal with the Planeswalker, given they can just attack it. It depends on the board that you have. But, it can work a little better than Surgical, just because it's hitting creatures over and over again, and you just have to get them in the graveyard, which Path doesn't do, but Fatal Push is doing, and Zealous is doing, and blocking is doing, and they're usually okay to, attack with their blood gas and let them die because they can get them back next turn. But if you can ping them with the usurper here, then that's a little bit different. The minus effect is very relevant against artifact decks, amulet decks, other War of Invention decks. You can hit chalices, you can hit engineered explosives, you can hit any kind of mana rocks that they would have, pithing needles, a lot of things like that you can hit. Amulets themselves, not amulet, the Ghoul Caller's Bell and the other one, that's is that an amulet? I forget that deck. It's losing popularity now that War of Invention's bigger, but still the artifact prison decks basically. So having a repeatable way of killing those cards seems very, very good. It also gives you an alternate win condition around Ensnaring Bridge, right? If you can be exiling cards from their graveyard, if you can keep her alive. It's not one they're probably going to name with their Pithing Needles or Spyglasses. They're probably going to name Liliana. But if you can just tick her up and exile cards from their library, and maybe you got, those are matchups where we're probably bringing in Surgicals anyway, so maybe you can, even if it's not the Ensnaring Bridge, because if you use Surgical, their Ensnaring Bridge, you're probably going to win. But maybe you just exile 4 of some other card and you plus her a few times, and the next thing you know, you get to drain them for 10, and that might win the game. So it just gives you an alternate win condition when they're just, they've got their Ensnaring Bridge out and they're just looking at trying to deck you. That seems pretty good. Obviously, they can go find a Pithing Needle effect and name it on her, so you don't have all the time in the world, but it is something there. So something with that versatility, and Phoenix, again, we talked about Dredge, but Phoenix is the same thing as Dredge. You're trying to gain life, you're trying to exile creatures out of their graveyard, kind of a done deal there. So something with that flexibility that, it's a graveyard card, hate card, an artifact, kill card, and a life gainer, seems interesting as a sideboard card. So it's something I am gonna test out. So I would love to be able to play more Planeswalkers in this deck, especially a cool, in theory, one and a 3-mana black-white Planeswalker would be. I would love for her to be good in some capacity. So also has some utility against burn, right? Like you're gaining 2 life a turn. If you can be, problem is we don't have creatures to eat out of our own graveyard, but you can be eating creatures out of their graveyard that you're killing either through combat or fatal pushes or discard spells. And then obviously with her -1, she can take out Goblin Guides and Monastery Swift Spears. So again, does seem pretty relevant in those kinds of decks. Maybe even Hollow One as well. Take out their Blood Gas, try to gain life, take out their 1/2 menace that get pumps when you discard cards. So a lot of matchups where it's probably relevant. So I do want to test her out. Sorry, that was a long rant and explanation, but who knows? She could be pretty good. Because we did this, I cut down to 2 Stony Silence instead of 3. Again, KCI is gone, but that doesn't mean all the other artifact decks aren't huge. And this is a good one against something like Tron too. So I would like to have 3 Stony Silence. I just didn't know what to cut. Still 2 Disenchants. Been pretty standard there. And then 1 Damping Spear. Testing this card out more. People seem to like it. It has been good. Maybe could go up to 2, but again, we're kind of just running out of sideboard space here with all this. So anyway, that's the deck. I hope you guys enjoy the matches, and just testing and trying to tune this deck to see what's the best in the current metagame. Thanks for watching.